Please start now. 3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us?
Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Good evening, travelers and those alike. Welcome to the Orion Effect right here on RNN, R.I.F.T Nation Network, found all over the world now. Oh, yeah. I am Howie Odell, otherwise known as the quintessential hitman of media.
I am Rhonda Dowdy, your little spiritual way of sunshine with a shot of sarcasm.
Woo!
I think I need something new. That one's gotten old. I got to figure out something new.
Yeah, I feel
new to
you.
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, we gotta add a little sparkle in there. Some sparkle.
Yeah. You need something new. That's all right. We'll get there.
That's right. Hello to all the travelers and those like who are tuning in, who will tune in, or who will be checking out the archives. We want to say hello. Please, if you're on Facebook, we ask you to tap the hyperlink. That allows StreamYard to allow you to be seen from Facebook. So please make sure to hit that hyperlink. Hello. I'll let Rhonda say hello to everybody that's popping in.
Hello, Courtney Peterson, Keith Otterberg, Lauren. Who else do we have? I saw some others. Hold on. I don't know if it's letting me go back for Sheila May.
Sheila. Oh, wonderful
People
group
are
of people.
steadily logging in, so we're just getting started. Ryan
Welcome.
T. Jones, Peggy Sells. Here they come.
Welcome, and welcome to our home here as we launch off the mothership of the network tonight. We are having one hell of a show for you tonight. We've been promoting it. You've seen it. The young lady that we'll be bringing on in just a few minutes is making some serious waves in the paranormal. Rhonda, what was it like meeting Christie Ayers? I'm going right to it before we bring her on. I see her giggling in the camera, so I want to hear before.
It was really, really cool because, like, I realized
make you blush.
When she said she posted something on Facebook, and I was like, wait a minute, she has to be coming to Richmond. She has to be coming to Richmond. So I messaged her, and she was like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, I'll see you at the Paracon. And so then, we got there, and I found her. She's like, who are you again? But after that, it's like we known each other forever. Like we were having a blast. We were messed with some people, told them we were that I was from Florida. We had a whole bunch of fun.
Now, see, that just defines her personality. That's why I wanted you to say it. This woman is now known all over the United States. She's making great strides in the paranormal world. I think she's also reaching out to those nonprofit organizations outside of the paranormal. And that's one of our efforts tonight, is to make sure her story is heard, who she is, and what she is doing and why she's doing this now. While she's yawning in the background, you're busted. I saw that.
In her defense, she had a busy night last night.
She did. We're gonna we're going to see if she can hang as long as she can with that possible hangover of, and it's not paranormal. We know it's true.
It's both.
Yeah, she even gave me a little attitude because she probably was just like, I don't know what you mean. Yeah, what do you mean, Howard? And I was like, she's gone. So I'm excited. Right. Hey, oh, that wasn't mine. That was yours.
No, that was mine. She's acting up. She's acting up.
So we will be bringing our guest on in just a second. Just wanted to shout out there to a couple of things that are going on and events that we support or will be a part of. Just kind of giving that calendar update and things that have been going on with us. Now, with that being said, Friday night I did go live. I went live for a little bit, and the entire Brew Crew popped on, almost the entire Brew Crew. So
I didn't pop on. Oops.
no. Were you at Trevette?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't home.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just asking because I know the Boo Crew themselves were all down at Trevette Clinic down in North Carolina. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
All right. And they all, all jumped on, and we had a great little conversation and kind of probing for tonight and just asking and talking about general stuff that I had going on. And then yesterday, Sarah and I took an adventure that I'm here in Shenandoah Valley right now. Whoop, whoop. We did an amazing day with Marty Siebel and Charlie Quinn. Charlie Quinn, she's behind me. And that was the evening with Ghost of Staunton tours. We spent the afternoon with Marty. We had lunch with him. He runs Ghost of Staunton. He's also the director of Black Raven Paranormal. And some good things came out of that conversation. We're seeing growth across the field. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. I'm so proud of so many people just setting stuff aside, doing things we need to do. Keith said we had a bit of a weekend. Yeah, I bet you did. We actually caught them as we were leaving Staunton last night. Stanton, for those who are not from here. Or for those that are from here, we call it Stanton. From those that are not from here, you'll call it Staunton. Just give you a heads up. But we hit 81 coming down. And we caught Drunken Oracle, which we'll talk about tonight. Yeah, that's right. Roll those eyes. I see you. And it was really another great show. They had two other individuals with them, and it's always cheerful. They always bring a smile to people's faces, and I think they do this with a very good cause. I love the fact of why they do it. But it was a fun night, so I have to say that we did catch it. Drunken Oracle. If you did not see it, go back and check out the archive. And again, we're going to talk about that tonight. So how about you, Sissy? What you got going on?
Well, I was on. The reason I was not at Trevette is because I was on call for work all weekend. So luckily, I didn't have to work. Nothing came up that was urgent, but so I just did stuff around here. I've been going the last few weekends. So it was kind of just a catch-up weekend.
So yeah, okay, you took it a little time to yourself, just like I'm doing now. Came down and I get to spend some time with Sarah, and I'll be here through next Monday. And we're gonna do some adventures and stuff, but it was time well needed. So, and I feel you because you have a huge calendar lining up for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, we're working on that calendar this week, so that calendar is pretty darn full for a while.
We'll get some promo out there. What do you got going on, Ron?
Well, we've got a lot with FPRI coming up. We're doing a lot, of course, at Hamilton High School. We'll be doing some stuff at Belgrove. We've got, I'm sure I'll be on the book to do some readings out at Peaceful Easy Healing. So there's just a lot going on. It's a busy summer, but it's just kind of the right amount of busy for the summer where there's enough downtime where you don't feel like you're missing out on summer, but you're busy. So lots of stuff going on.
Well, along with that, we also have the cabin on 360 on June 3rd and 4th. Yep. Tickets are still available. Come on out. It's a great cause. It's for the boo bitches, survivors of physical abuse. We're going to be talking about that tonight. I saw you roll your eyes again. And and that's becoming a huge subject, and we've got some wonderful questions for her about that, and for other people. So if you have questions for Christy tonight, get ready for them. Let's see. I see. FPRI says I have something else to add to the calendar. Stay tuned. Oh, there you go.
Awesome. Awesome.
We also will be, as RNN is also supporting Ghost of Stanton. So please make sure to get over there and see them. You have a chance to win a free tour of Stanton, or 10% off of one of your tours, or a large group. So Marty's really putting the effort to support us as we support them and promote them. So we'll make sure that's said. Also, coming June 17th, we will be supporting and adding coverage. We are the media coverage company for the 2023 Virginia Bigfoot Convention in Wares Cave, Virginia. So I'm excited about that too, to work with Daniel, with Lyle, with Tana and Brandon, and really produce one hell of an event, and people can see what we learned 4 or 5 years ago when we started producing, preserving history through the paranormal, what we really can do. And we're going to be using those at different events as well, not just at the Bigfoot convention, but at events at the Cabin on 360 and other locations. So we are going to be your media coverage company. If you want coverage on one of your events, if you want us to come out, we're going to show you what we can do first. Then we're going to let you think about, hey, do we want these people? You know, at this point, this is the opportunity. We want to promote events and locations. We're working in the state of Virginia right now, but we do have host and staff in Massachusetts. We do have hosts and staff in Nebraska. There you go. That's the eye. We also have them in Tennessee and Kentucky. So as we expand as a network, we'll be able to cover your events. Think about it. It's going to be an amazing time. And we want to be there to be your foundation. Look at that. I did a little self-promo on that. You like that?
Very good. Very good. Your vacation only one day, did you well. Look at all you're doing.
So far, so good, Berg. You know, we're getting there. So without further ado, it is time. And if I had the drum roll machine, I would roll it right now. But I'm still trying to figure out that mic, man. I don't know what the hell. But I will figure it out. But ladies and gentlemen, actually, this lady needs no introductions. She has been all over the United States. She's worked not only in the paranormal, not only in spiritual. She's also worked in music, on an indie side. I saw that eye roll. She has a lot of experience in life, both in family and general connections. She's a woman who is setting standards. Let me say this before I bring her on, because I do not want to embarrass her, but this is something I feel that I want to say. She is setting standards in the paranormal that we all should be striving to get to. Talk about unity, talking about forgiveness, talking about wanting to encourage, being that person, or being what we should be as a collective, and not based on egotistical thoughts or impressions. We should be striving to be where level she is at. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to introduce you to Christie Ayers. Christie, welcome to the Orion Effect for your second time.
Thanks for having me back. Like, you talk so highly of me. First you pick on me and I can't defend myself. And then you're like, I better fix that because I'm about to bring her on. I see the game you're playing.
Nice try. You know, I've got to get you behind the scenes so you can't cut me.
Right. And then he's like, rolling her eyes and yes. No, we did have a long night last night. It's been a long couple of nights. So just put it that way. But I do yawn a lot, but I'm just going to clear that up because it may happen. I also have problems with low iron, so that kind of does it sometimes too. There's days where I don't drink at all and I'm slept well and I'm just yawning all day and I'm like, this is annoying. Go eat a burger or something and I'm fine. It's weird. So yeah.
How you feeling today?
I'm very tired.
I'm gonna. There's some people are gonna freak out when I say this because I know there's a lot of people that do not like this. But I'm gonna tell you, if you like pickle juice, it's the ultimate hangover sobriety system.
It's also very good for people with celiac disease to help absorption.
Yes,
So sometimes when I'm feeling kind of icky, I just drink pickle juice. It's weird, but I do it.
it's like a natural. It's a natural medicine,
Yeah, and now they make pickle whiskey.
right? Exactly.
Like help you absorb the alcohol a little better. There you go.
It's also got, of course, it's got vinegar, so it's going to hydrate you. It's got salt in it, so it's going to help you hydrate better. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits. And vinegar, a lot of people say you take a teaspoon of vinegar a week to help.
I do it every day.
Do you? Oh, I wish I could. I do. But I have a feeling I'll fall over because, the whole blood pressure thing, that I can't do a whole lot of it. But this is this, and welcome back, by the way.
Well, thanks for having me back.
We had a wonderful show the first time you were on. And now you got to meet Rhonda, and I can let you two chat a little bit. But I also want to make sure the travelers and those alike who are posting and chatting, they deserve to be heard. I want to make sure we're able to speak for them. Just like Keith Otterberg, your co-host on Drunken Oracle, shameless plug, is on right now. And he says, we did, let's see, John, is that John? Yeah, replying to Roof Nation Network. Hi here. Oh, hello. Kim Sage. Hey, Rhonda, I'll let you take that. Let you keep going with that.
So, Christy, does pickle juice work for a paranormal hangover as well? That's the question.
I mean, it probably does. I mean, I've never actually, but I drink like hydration water and stuff by the gallon, I think, every day. So that would qualify to me as hydration water. So yeah, we'll just say yes. I'm not a medical doctor, so don't sue me over bad results.
You know what? Let's start right there. Let's just start right there. Then we'll get into the list of questions of doom that Christy saw and went, okay, are we doing 3 hours?
I thought it was 2 pages, and then I was like, but wait, there's more. I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm going to stop reading so the other half is a surprise.
Well, I want to make sure we got that down. And like I told you, we want to make sure your story is heard. And we had that material that you went and go, okay, so what are you going to ask me now? Wait, there's more. But yeah, right.
Bill Mays, I miss that guy.
Oh, big time. Okay, so Kim Sage just asked that question. Let's talk about it for a second. Paranormal hangover. All 3 of us have had them. I just had my major one last weekend. Rhonda's just now starting this last year. She's like, oh God. And I'm like, I know you got. So paranormal, what do you think a paranormal hangover is, Christy? Where does it stem from? Why do you, in your opinion, your thought?
I mean, well, I think first of all, let's face it, most of us work all day long and then we go investigate. Mm-hmm. So then we're up all night. So usually by the time we're done, we've been awake for like 24 something hours, right?
Right.
So obviously you're going to be tired, but it also drains you. And I do believe that. Like even if you sleep all day and you go to an investigation, sometimes you're tired. There's times where I've done investigations for 2 hours and I'm exhausted. And I just think it has a lot to do with you're using more of your energy. You're using the energy that's around you and it just drains you. All your senses, everything it's heightened and you're concentrating. It's almost more of like a brain drain than it is, I think, anything else.
I would agree with that. Rhonda, what do you think?
I mean, I agree too. I think that's a really good way to put it. I think if you're an empath at all or have any sort of, or if you're psychic or medium or anything like that, then I think it pulls on you a little extra. But a lot of it is brain drain. You sit there and you're concentrating, listening so intently so you don't miss anything that I think it really is. It's both that physical, it's the left brain and the right brain kind of messing you up there. You're using both at the same time. So, yep.
I would agree with both of you. I'm going to step out a little bit, and we're going to go to the science part of that real quick. A lot of people have a good understanding of what the fear factor is. The fear factor is that when our body gets set in a certain motion, it's the fight or flee system. Also, when we are in this as a paranormal research investigator, it goes in levels. So when you're a ghost hunter, what are you doing it for first? You're going for the high, right? You're getting that first paranormal high. Oh, I'm gonna get spooked tonight, boys. You know, you get that whole, I got it. Oh, I can't wait to see my first ghost, right? We move from that transition. We move from the transition of we're out to find our seek and thrill to, well, we've sit here in this room for 5 hours and not a thing has happened. And our bodies get used to it. I'm going to use him because I know he was on or is on. So a lot of people talk about how he is on investigations. It's the same way as I used to be. I'm not that young anymore. But a lot of people do talk about John Sullivan and how he can keep going and going and going and going. When we get to that point, we become researchers. Now we've switched the modes. We're using all of our senses, not just one or two or three of them. We're using our height, or rather our sight. Yeah, more coffee. We're using our sight. We're using our hearing. We're using our feeling. We're using our energy. So all of our senses are out there. So that draws on the body, which exhausts the body of its actual resources, both energy and elemental. So on the scientific side, it's a proven fact. On the spiritual side, yeah, you damn spiritual junkies. We know what it's about. We just want to get your ghost on. Get your ghost on. Get your ghost on. She didn't laugh at that.
I think you should market that song.
You like that? I'm with you.
Get your ghost on. Get your ghost on. See? It's catchy. It's going to be worse than Baby Shark.
Oh, God, don't start. Please. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I'm also evil. You're welcome.
This is true. So I'm going to do that. I mean, John's got Ghost. So now I'm marketing it. Christie said it right here. That's my slogan now.
I've never had a bad idea in my entire life.
Wow. No, just kidding.
Well, if we ever all investigate together, Christie, he's in your group.
No, we're going to give her Kenny.
I'm just going to chain him up somewhere and walk off.
No, we're giving you my brother.
I don't know your brother, but I'm scared.
Oh.
As you should be.
So let's get in there. We've got some stuff going in our chat room.
Yeah.
Rhonda, you want to take it? You want to take
We
it?
We do. Rebecca Owen says, hold on. And for me, it's also using more energy to keep that protective barrier around me. Nikki said, agreed. It can be very depending on how much different parts of your abilities you're using. Plus, it also hits the protein and electric light levels in a person's body.
Exactly.
Earworms.
Earworms. Oh, Miss Lisa, your friend's on. There you go. Lisa Campbell is in the house.
I love Lisa.
She
cracks me up. Oh yeah.
So
most of our inside jokes I can't say anywhere but secret chat.
I think Lauren just got me good with this one. She goes, Daddy ghost, Mommy ghost, Daddy ghost. Oh, we're not even going there. That could start something completely we don't want to go. Baby Shark.
I'm not going to do it.
God forbid nobody do it.
You have no idea how difficult it is right now to not do it. Okay.
It
I
just came
know.
from the kitchen. So Lisa goes, I love you too.
Damn right she does.
See, oh, you saw her. I must she's like a shark. Na, 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 na. Sarah. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun night.
I just see all these people coming on that also watch Drunken Oracle regularly. And I'm just kind of wondering, should we do a poll? Do you like me better drunk or sober? Most of them probably have never
hold on.
seen me
I gotta
sober.
get ready. I gotta get rid of that question.
Social
That's a
experiment.
good question.
Yeah, right.
Travelers and those alike, you like her better
Yeah.
sober or drunk? Which one?
And Lauren's up there encouraging me. Go for it. You do.
Shoot, tell us. Well, that was good. We gotta use that question later. So you have a lot of history. You've been through a lot of stuff. We're gonna
Oh,
jump
yeah.
into it.
Yep.
Wow. And I think you would be a good spokesman for a lot of nonprofit organizations, like I've said, especially for a motherhood nonprofit organization, for survivors, nonprofit organizations. I personally think maybe, and this is my opinion before we really jump into things, I want to say this to you so I do not forget this. I think maybe you should start something for paranormal mothers and the paranormal that survived physical and mental abuse.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I'll be honest. I daily I get messages and phone calls from people reaching out. It's, some days I'm like, I have my own stuff going on. But then I remember that it doesn't matter if I have my own stuff going on, because clearly these people need me right here, right now. And so I will always stop. I will always stop for people. It doesn't even matter how bad my day is. Sometimes people will message me and I'll talk to them about whatever. And I'm thinking my day is so awful. And I'm like, man, it could be worse, and that's maybe a sad way to go about things. But oh yeah, the lizard taco queen. Anyway.
If y'all missed that last night, it was most hilarious. We were laughing. I almost wrecked the car last night when I heard that.
The lot lizard.
Yeah, the lot lizard.
Anyway, I forgot all about it.
Rhonda, you need to go back and listen to this.
I need to go back and watch it. Usually I'll watch it. I didn't last night.
It was hilarious. I'm going to try to stay on subject.
I know. I should pretend like I can't read.
Right? Don't look at the chat. No.
Anyway.
So we got a long ways to go. And we're going to come back to the survivor part of this, because a lot of people that don't know you may be questioning what I and Rhonda are referring to. We're going to get to that part. But we want to get to the very beginning, when it started, when Christie was giving the energy and sparkle of life. And I knew Mama's on, so I saw her. So.
Oh my gosh.
So
go ahead.
So here's the first question, and Rhonda, jump in there, because you're gonna have to shut me down and get my mouth shut, because I got a lot of shit.
Focus, Howie. Focus.
Focus.
First blinders.
So here's the first thing that I have is, who really is Christie Ayers? Who are you now? Who are you now?
I haven't got the slightest clue.
She's one busy lady, I'll tell you that. When I met her in January, she was like, we were talking about just the Hotel Josephine, and she's like, well, I got this thing going that just came up, and I might get really busy. And since then, she's all over the US ever since then. Like, it started like 2 weeks later.
Well, I was doing it for a lot longer. Hotel Josephine was kind of going to be a slowdown for me for a little bit, because as most of you know, my daughter just had a baby, so I'm now a grandma. Yay! And he's so cute, so it's worth it. But I had been doing it before. It was a lot difficult before, but I also have 4 kids, so trying to get them out on their own and whatever, that was real rocky. And it's just the right time now, and the right people are in my lives and in my life and things like that. But Man, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know where to start on who I am because I still haven't figured that out. I think that's a certainly a lifelong journey, and I feel like who I am is for other people to figure out. I'm just gonna keep doing everything I do and enjoying it and going with it. And when I started the whole, I can't even call it van life anymore because that's what I wanted to do. Was the moment you realize Chris Farley was right, living in a van down by the river is the way to go. But when I started doing it, the whole point of that was to live little so you can do big. So the less you have holding you back, the less responsibility you have, the more you can give to others. And I may not have a lot of money, but I certainly have a lot of time. And so when I got the van, I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to live in the van. I loved the van, but I didn't need the van because people reached out to me all over the country. I have a guest house. I have a guest room. I have a couch. I have a meal. I have a shower. I think the hardest point of my life right now is I feel like I neglect people because I can't always get to where they are. And I always think, well, I'm staying here for like a month. And they're like, okay, totally. And I'm like, they're going to get sick of me. Um, but then I leave a month later, and a day later, whoever I'm with is like, when are you coming back? I'm like, don't you want a break? They don't. So I feel a lot of times it's hard because I try to always make the phone calls and always keep up with people and send the messages and reply and get there, but at the same time I also have to support myself. So it's a challenge most of the time. So I don't know.
Maybe by the end of what we're done tonight, we may even have that answer. We just may.
Good luck.
Scary. Very, very scary. Ducky, go down the hole. All right. So let's, because I know one of your heavy influences is your mother. And
Yeah.
I wanted to bring her into this. And how much was or is your mother an influence on who you are or who you were? I definitely.
That is such a loaded question. So my mom actually, it's kind of funny because my mom has changed a lot over the years. And when you're growing up and there's a lot of mistakes parents make, I wasn't a perfect kid either. I mean, she'll tell you that I was like the best kid ever, but she just doesn't know. But she was abused herself. So my parents divorced when I was 2, and my dad lived in Chicago. My mom lived in Wisconsin. I spent more of my time with my mom and my stepdad than I did my dad. And my dad was very present, though. He just, like on every other weekend, and then I'd go out there for summers and whatever. But the man my mom remarried, he was a very abusive. And so my mom went through a lot of abuse. And in that aspect, a lot of neglect happened, not just for me, but for the other kids. And then my youngest sister was born with diabetes. And so that didn't help. My mom actually went through quite a bit of stuff. And I finished my book. However, it won't be out for God knows when, because it's like a whole process. But it talks a lot about how as a kid, like I was just the quiet one. I didn't really get into trouble. I didn't, I just kind of, fights would happen. I believe that my older sister, my sister that's older than me, is responsible for quite a bit of the abuse that I went through, but not only the abuse that I went through, but that my mother went through. My mother still puts herself through. I've been trying to get her to stop that because she deserves to live a life free of abuse as well. And so over the years, I mean, she's made some mistakes, but you know what? I made some with my kids. And my mom is now starting to read my book. And I'm like, I feel bad because I'm like, please just know that I love you and I forgive you and it's okay.
Yeah.
But trying to escape that abuse led me to my father's, who then did some similar things. So then trying to escape that led me to my husband, who was hell on earth. And
We're
so
gonna get there.
yeah, I mean, it's a vicious cycle. My mom is very supportive now, and she's come a long way, and I'm proud of my mom. There was actually a 2-year period where I had cut her out completely, and I just was like, I'm done. I can't do this. Like, I didn't want her talking to the kids. It was like 2 years where I'm just like, no. Um, and so after 2 years, she came back and just said, I want you in my life and I love you and I'm going to church and I'm working really hard and I'm changing. And she'll even say now, like, I've worked so hard on myself and I'm a different person. And she truly, truly is. I'm so proud of everything she's grown into. She's a great mother now, you know. And so after 2 years, I said, okay, well, that's fine. Let's give it a shot. Here's my boundaries. And it's been great ever since. Like, obviously she's still my mom. She drives me nuts once in a while, but that's mom stuff, so.
But don't think you don't do the same to her when we do these live. So
I probably do.
I think she encourages it now, doesn't she?
She does encourage it. She's been such a big supporter of mine. And to be honest with you, I'm happy for that. Like, I wanted it my whole life. That's what I wanted from both my parents. And so for my mom to do those things now and to be there now. And it's weird because she would talk about some paranormal stuff when we were kids. Cause I think me and my mom for sure. And I think a couple of my kids, but we all have like dreams that come true. And so we've talked about those, but she was very much against it when we were younger. And now she's like, let me tell you something. So I'm like, where were you talking about this? Like, how long ago? But it's nice. It's nice to be able to talk about it. See, I'm knocking them out here for you.
Yeah, you're beating it. Look, we gotta make this 2 hours if possible.
There's my baby.
No, I was kidding. And there you go. And Allie just popped on, just like you said. Baby girl's here.
That's my newest mother in the family. She's the one who had the baby. So now I have to like her.
Oh, we get to pick on Allie tonight too, because we got.
Oh, I always pick on. Actually, she gets mad at me because me and my son-in-law, get along really well. She's like, "Why did I marry a man like my mother?"
Oh my!
They have the best marriage. You know what? They literally have the best. If anybody needs lessons on how to be a married couple, those two. I don't even know where they get it from because it wasn't me. So they're amazing.
That's awesome. And you know what? That's another good point. It's awesome having her and supporting you on here. And that's one thing I have seen in the last year. Your family supports the hell out of you now. I mean, they're right there, at least verbally, and maybe, may I use the word spiritually? I've seen that.
Yeah, I have the best kids. I know a lot of, like, Ashley and Athena right now, they both work late, so I don't think they're ever on. I started putting Drunken Oracle on YouTube because Athena's like, I'm not watching it unless it's on YouTube, Mom. So she'll watch it later when she's not working. And then my son is actually outside in the backyard helping my son-in-law fix my daughter's car. So that's what they've been doing all day. So
yeah, see, Allie just said she's in my son's room, just FYI.
I know, I'm in the baby's room.
So as far as that goes, and you just answered another question. We're looking at all the family. I'm going to answer one more thing, and then if Rhonda has some stuff, I want to make sure her stuff gets in there, so my mouth doesn't continue this. In that, with the paranormal and the supernatural when you were younger, it was based towards your mother, but I want to put this: was there any other family members that were or influence on you as far as the spiritual and the paranormal?
No.
No.
It's kind of strange because I've been a Christian. I was a worship leader for 10 years. I'm still a Christian. And I remember being, 9 years old, and my mom didn't want to take us to church. So me and my older sister would walk the 4 miles to town and go to church on our own. Eventually my mom went for a little while. No, my mom goes all the time now. Both my parents do all the time now. They're like, Christy, why don't you go? Because I'm good. Okay. I mean, I'm perfect, but I know where my faith is. Okay. So there really wasn't. Matter of fact, when I started, because I went to film school and I was like watching, ghost hunters and stuff, and I was like, man, that looks like fun. I could totally do that. My dad goes, it's evil.
That's actually one of the questions I was going to be asking in just a little bit. So let's just stick on that for a second. Just kidding. We'll come back to that. But no, it's a good point. It's a good point. The misconception of the paranormal and supernatural and why
Mhm.
people do it. You're exactly right. I agree. And that's something that later on in the show we'll talk about more because um, there's so many views that have changed since the beginning or since the masses came to the paranormal. You like how I use that? Comparatively to those that have been in the paranormal field for long periods of time, but before it became popular, now that it is popular, what their viewpoints are now. We'll come back to that. But I want to hand the reins over to Rhonda and see if she's got some questions, and let's keep rolling with it. And we want to hear you, and we want to hear from the people who support you, and those people have questions out there as well.
You actually got my question. I was going to ask about like how the paranormal, if there was other things. So you got my question. I'm looking, and I don't have anything in Facebook right now. So
okay, all right. Well, Rhonda, do you have any other questions before I keep rolling with the list of doom?
I don't. I'm good right now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep this bad boy rolling. Dude, back out of the train station. Here we go. Round number 2. Yeah, right. Ducky went down the hole. So with doing that, and let's continue with that. Did you have any unique moments when you were a youth in the paranormal or spiritual that you can recall that maybe led you to now? I remember you said something about in your childhood. Do you recall those things in your childhood, and how are they? What do they mean to you now that you have a better understanding of it comparably to then?
It's kind of crazy because the dreams are really like the biggest thing. And there's patterns that I recognize now, like tornado. Like if I'm dreaming about tornadoes, I understand there's someone in my life who shouldn't be there. And it's different for everybody. So when people are like dream interpretation, it's different for everybody, and that's like the whole kind of thing people have to understand. Just because that's how it interprets in my head and in my brain doesn't necessarily work that way for other people. But I'll tell you, when I was, God, I don't even know how old I was so young, and living on the farm, and every night I would go to sleep and I was having dreams about the house being on fire, but we were still living in it. Like, it was just cool. And I'm like panicking in the dream, and my mom's like, oh, it's fine. We'll just grab some stuff and have some dinner. And like the house is burning around us. Um, and this went on for like a week, and I would tell my mom, and I know my mom actually, she would help me through a lot of these nightmares when I was a kid. And a week into this, I come home from school, the fire trucks everywhere, and the chicken barn burnt down, and all the dreams about fire stopped. The only other time I had dreams about fire, again, it happened for like a week. They were pretty similar. Well, my sister's apartment burned in the middle of the night. She was okay. Her boyfriend was okay, whatever. But someone was shooting off fireworks and her apartment started on fire. So those are the only 2 times in my life I've ever had dreams about fire. I started having dreams about bugs. I want to say, God, how old was I? My mom would probably remember. I was pretty young, maybe like 5. And I'm having dreams about bugs and nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. And so then one night I'm like, there's thousands of mosquitoes in my bedroom, thousands. And I was sharing a room with my sister. She was like, go tell mom. I'm like, okay. And I go down to mom's like, you're having nightmares, go to bed. And I think I did that twice, and finally I come back up. I'm like, Dawn, she's not going to listen to me. She thinks I'm having a nightmare. Like, you need to go tell her. And sure enough, my mom had painted that day, and there was a hole in the screen. And so our bedroom was covered in mosquitoes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the pain had drawn the mosquitoes in.
Yep. And so she was like, well, I guess you weren't dreaming. But just stuff like that has happened. Like, I've had visions, after my husband passed away, a couple of days later, I'm driving down the road, and I had a vision that I wrecked the car. And so I hit the brake, and a lady made a left turn in front of me, through a red light.
Oh,
Totaled my
wow.
car. All the kids were in the car. If I hadn't have had that vision and hit the brake, it would have been really bad. Because the speed limit was like 55, and I would think it was down to 30. So, just weird. It's weird. Sometimes it's like stupid little things. Like I'll dream about someone telling me something, and the next day it happens, and I'm just like, that's weird. But I've also had dreams about family members dying that have come true. So sometimes I'm just like, this is super weird. And I don't ever really talk about this. So it's never asked. But it's kind of strange. And, as I've gotten old, I mean, it's just something that I've accepted and like, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. I still don't really think about it. Now I take stuff to suppress dreams so that I can sleep.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Oh, never mind. Oh,
Yeah. So that's where I'm at now. Because otherwise your brain is just going all the time, and then you get so tired and it's exhausting. Even sometimes when I take the medicine to sleep, the dreams are so vivid and so strong that they come through anyway. And so I just kind of have to wait it out until my body's like, all right, we're just going to shut down for a day or two. So,
We're done.
yeah,
Deuces.
it's crazy.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. And I get that because I think everyone has something unique about them. There isn't unique people. There are people with unique abilities, which we all have. So we find that some are based on sleep, some of it's based on energy, some of it's based on dimensional, celestial, physical. So I think everybody has a special spark. So really, I'm not. But that could be different coming from me because I understand where you're coming from. Being someone that's been in that situation and being with people who do the exact same thing, to me, it's not weird. It's not weird to me, but maybe it is to some others out there. I think it's just like when I was younger, and it wasn't here too recently that I just finally got it under control. There's a specific name, and I'm not going to go hunting it down because it's just not in the mood. We're just going to call it clownophobia and call it a day. I was deathly afraid of clowns. Doesn't matter what clown, doesn't matter who it was.
I have a giant clown in the other room.
Yeah, it's not going to bother me now. But if you would have done that to me 10 years ago, I'd have been like, yep, see ya, click. But it stemmed from my childhood because I had an epiphany later in life of seeing the actual clown at my parents' house when I was like 4. My parents were antique dealers. So these people were attempting to rob them. And we lived in a tri-story house, but the bottom was level to the ground where the window was, and then the front had its square windows. I saw the clown actually look through the window. So it was down like this. And that scarred me for a very long time. Like, where now I finally confronted that. I did a lot of shadow work per se with that too. I went with my daughters to several Halloween event carnivals, if you will, and actually talked to method actors, talked to the clown community now. Just, Ducky Ducky, got to put it out there. Props to Ducky Ducky, because he was one of them that helped me get over this. And then suddenly it just doesn't bother me. And it's interesting. So I can see how dreams and you having them can affect your even wanting to go forward because you get stuck in thought. So that's the way my brother is. His is based on dreams as well. So I just wanted to add that in there. And see, does that sound right?
Yeah, and it's funny because I never thought the word stuck in thought, because some of these nightmares that I have are so vivid and so realistic. Matter of fact, I think some of the nightmares that I have now are actual memories, and they used to cause me to be down. I would just go down depression and for days on end, months at a time. Just, I can still remember those dreams. And, we're talking years ago, some of these happened. And, so sleeping is such a major part of your mental health. And if you're not sleeping, you need to find a way. I don't care what it takes. You got to find a way to go to sleep. It's important.
Good point. And I'm glad you said that. That's a very good point. Allie said the damn thing is creepy. She didn't say damn, but I get an idea. She says it's creepy.
It's funny because Lauren says, I used to watch Bozo the Clown, and my daughter doesn't know this, but her dad was on that show.
Well.
Yeah. She just learned something about her father today.
There you go. Learn something.
Yep.
There you did. Keith says, wait, I gave you an actual tornado? You better keep me around.
That was the scariest day of my life, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, that was a scary day. I'm like, can we just never repeat that ever again? And to make it even better, he recorded it.
Isn't it? Gotta love our brother Keith.
He's like, I'm going to record you having a stroke because there's 3 tornadoes running through Wymore right now. Thank you, Keith. And then I keep asking for it. I'm like, that's going in the documentary.
Allie goes, what?
Yeah.
Keith, yup.
What do I say? I have the greatest best friend ever, and Keith is all right too.
He's your ducky, huh? Keith is your ducky. Well, this has been a really wonderful beginning to what we could create right now, what we are creating. So, and I want to make sure. Now, Rhonda, do you have anything you want to jump in here and ask?
I'm good.
Just keep on going. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's just keep this mad train crazy. But that's how it goes. Let's keep it going. Christie.
Yeah.
Before we ask the next question, I want to bring something up because I did say we are going to talk about everything about Christie Ayers.
Yep,
let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's talk about the eye. The uniqueness of Christie Ayers.
You want to know what happened to the eyes? First of all, it's cool because it's like David Bowie. So it's actually awful. No, I've gotten used to it, obviously, over the years. I've adjusted to it. God, what year was it? It had been 2000 because Athena was just born. So I was still married. And so Athena's the baby, had all the kids, and we lived in this little house in Plainview, Nebraska. And so the people that lived across the street from us, they were moving. And so I, being me, was like, oh, help. Well, they had a bungee cord holding their trunk shut. And my husband was a mechanic. He's like, let me fix that. And they're like, no, we're too busy. So I go around the back of the car because I'm going to put stuff in the trunk. And as I'm setting this stuff on the ground, because I'm like, I want to get a good grip on this cord to pull it off, it just snapped and the metal part hit me in the eye. And so I'm standing there, it was just complete shock, like something hit me in the eye, I can't see. So I'm standing there waiting for my vision to come back. And then all of a sudden everything kicked in, what just happened. And I'm just screaming bloody murder at time. Like the neighbor was laughing because I don't think she knew what was happening. Because I'm literally standing there screaming, like, where's my eye? I thought it was out of my head or something. I didn't know. And so my husband walks out the house and his eyes get big and he just drops it and he just turns around and goes in the house. And like everyone's just staring at me. And I'm like, take me to the freaking, like, get me in the, let's go.
Why are you just looking at me, people? What the hell?
I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. And then I get to the emergency room and I'm back in there and these nurses just kept coming in and their mouths open there and they just walk out. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So nobody would tell me. And then they sent me down to I had to go to Omaha, Nebraska. Or was it? No, we were by whatever town, doesn't matter, bigger town. So they sent me to this eye doctor. So after like 5 hours, I think I actually saw an actual eye doctor. But by then I could see, but it was just all yellow because it was just blood. And then I spent 2 months in a bed, no shower, no TV, no reading. eyes closed in the dark, Band-Aid on my like eye. They had to keep it sealed shut with stuff in it. I was seeing an eye doctor almost every single day. And they're like, if you do any of this other stuff, you're never going to see out of it again. So lucky for me, I still have it. I can still see out of it. It's just always dilated. That was the damage. I now have cataracts in it, which they told me if they can remove the cataracts, I'll probably see better than I have in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I actually, it's weird because I have two kinds of cataracts from what I understand. And I have one called Christmas tree cataracts, which doesn't affect your eye. If you look it up, it's so pretty. It literally looks like a giant pot leaf with gold glitter on it. And that's in my eyes. So I'm just like,
Well,
it's the coolest thing ever. Yeah, it's very pretty. And I've seen it. I know they're like, it's a Christmas tree. I'm like, no, that's a pot leaf. Believe me, when you see it, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's a pot leaf. It looks like a big old fat nug or something. I don't know. I don't even get high, but that's what it looks like. So
Paranormal Gypsy. Now we're going there.
but yeah, that's what happened to it. So now I just have these crazy eyes. And you know what? I used to be so embarrassed of it. Like when it first happened, I wouldn't look people in the eye. I didn't, but now it's really funny because I have a couple friends who are EMS, and not that long ago, one of them looked at me and he goes, "Are you having a stroke?" No. I just want to make sure. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I'm good. I'm fine. And I think he asks me that every now and then just to be funny. Cracks me up.
I would think it would be a unique opportunity. All right, that's a uniqueness about you. That sets you aside from anybody. So
Right.
I would embrace that. It looks like you've embraced it instead of using it as a crutch. It's a benefit.
Well, you kind of have to do that, it was very difficult when it happened. I was in such a low point in my life already, and so the one thing that I had always liked about myself were my eyes, and then that got fucked up. So I'm just like, now what? And so it took me a long time to, gain the confidence back. And now, I mean, it does weird some people out, but I don't like them anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm just like, it's a great conversation piece, and I love doing this. Like, people are like, why are your eyes two different colors? I'm like, they're not. However, I can do a really cool trick, and I just light a lighter, and the one goes down, the other one stays big, and they're like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I could say that I will get people with, because I can move this eye left and right, and this eye will remain. Ron has known me since we were teenagers. You see me do it. I used to use it to my benefit, but now I'm just like, whatever. But if I get tired, this bad boy will fly over that way, right? So I'll be talking to somebody and like, well, who are you talking to? And I just have to go, I'm talking to you, man. I'm talking to you. So, it may make people feel bad once you do it, but then they laugh. And it's a break because, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. And it's actually a way for me to open up and get people to talk, because once I cover that eye, they're like, okay, now I feel about stupid, but that was pretty funny. And I'm like, there you go.
See, and I have a theory that comedians are offensive, because as soon as you can make people laugh at the offensive stuff, everything is less awkward.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, what you know about that one? Hello to our traveler, Lisa. Lisa just popped in and she says, hello, everyone. Hello, Miss Lisa. Hello. So let's keep this rolling. We're actually going to take a break here in about 2 minutes. We're actually taking a break for the first time, Rhonda. Can you believe it? We are. We're going to need to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to jump into more. But before we take the break, we're going to jump into one more question. Okay. Here's a question is we're going to go with that. Looking at your youth. Okay. First of all, when did you get married?
I would have been 20.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you weren't that young.
Well, I was kind of forced into getting married. I was already with him. I was with him since I was 14. So, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I know everything's a long story with me.
this is going to But maybe we should do this after the break.
You might want to, because it's the long story. So
Well, you know what? Maybe that's what we'll do. Why don't we do that? Travelers and those like we're going to go take about a 5 to 6 minute break. This will allow you to go use the restroom, get things, but you'll also get to
more
stay with
coffee.
us. More coffee. Yeah. Round two. More wine. Hey, you didn't hear that. Yeah. But also, if you need to walk around or a little something, this will give you guys the opportunity. When we come back, we're going to talk with Christy, and we're going to keep this whole conversation going because we are going to do what we promised. We're going to make sure you know Christie Ayers. By the time she gets off of here, you people are going to be like, "Damn, that's right. You're going to want her around. You're
Oh,
going to
T Dog. See, T Dog's got to come back in 5 minutes. Then
dum dum." Sounds good to me. So, what do y'all say? We go ahead and take a break now. Then when we come back, we'll jump back into it.
Sounds good.
All right, travelers and those like, don't go anywhere. You're just going to see the show banner. We're taking our 5 to 7 minute break. When we come back, we'll talk to Christy. We'll kick it back over, and you'll know when we're getting ready to come back on air because the timer will go off. Yep. So we'll be back in just a few minutes.
That looks funny.
Oh my God. And welcome back, travelers and those alike. Welcome to the Orion Effect, the second hour. We're here with our special guest, Christie Ayers. Christie is well known through the paranormal and spiritual, and also through the indie music circuit, which we're going to get to that tonight. We got an amazing first hour talking about her past, of her coming up as a youth and family, etc. We're going to continue that right now. I have so many questions. We're only going 2 hours tonight. So, Christie, with saying that, how would you like to return later in the year? And we could do a follow up with your book and get more of the questions in and let more people experience the Christie Ayers effect. Like that?
Like that.
Poor people, but sure.
Hey! So a few people were like, okay, we're done. No, you're not. You're far from done. I did promote FPRI because I wanted to give the Boo Crew a little prop out there. They were at Trevette Clinic this past weekend. That's Ron's crew right there. So I want to make sure her crew got noticed right there today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on air with Christie Ayers, the paranormal gypsy. And Christie, thank you for taking your time to be on with us. And I know you've had a rough weekend.
I know.
I think you're kicking ass.
At least you guys are fun. I'm not like
Snoozy.
right?
We're
not
not,
or anything. What?
yeah, we're not those people that go, so let us ask you, how was this? And that you're not going to get that from us.
No.
Being like that. Unless we're off an investigation or off our event, then we're like, help us, help you. So yes, I was, and my better half was like, she said before we went on break, wine, and I was like, that's gotta wait.
Just wait till we're on our break.
Yeah, she was like, maybe for you. I'm like, stop teasing me.
Oh, I'm done with alcohol for at least 3 days.
Okay, that's legit. We're good with that. Ladies and gentlemen, too, I'm going to drop it in here. If you're just catching us on Facebook, please hit the hyperlink that I just posted. This will allow Restream to see you through Facebook. So please hit that. Judy's in the house. She said, hey, beautiful people. Hello, Miss Judy. Hello, and welcome to the Orion Effect. So many new travelers and so many new people tuning in. So, and I know Sunday nights used to be the night where there was very few podcasts going on. That was like the night. As we have progressed through the last 5 years, more and more people went, hey, we're going to go Sunday nights. And I'm like, I was here first. But, I started with a network that their mothership was on Sunday nights. I chose to stick on Sunday nights and continue this. We're not podcasting anymore. We are vidcast, but we are caught on other podcast networks and archived. So if you missed any of this, you can go check the archives on Restream and any of the other platforms that are on. Just getting that out of the way. Judy, hi and thanks. I love these live streams. Thank you, Miss Judy. Thank you and welcome. Hopefully we'll make you a traveler as well. Let's continue with the dun 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 dun.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof with a little metal in the house. A little iced tea. We're not going there. So the first hour we did discuss a lot about your youth, and we found out a lot about you, and that's amazing. And that was our efforts. We're going to continue that. You did say that you had met your husband in your early teens. You got married in your 20s. But let's go there. What were you like as a teenager? What was your culture like? What kind of events did you take? What did you get at? How did you hang out? What did you get? Where did you hang out? Who was Christie back then compared to now?
Well, before I moved in with my dad, I was bullied a lot. I hated Wisconsin. I hated living on the farm. I hated it.
Cheese.
I hated it. And I'm more so, I hated the fact that my dad lived alone, because I was like, what if something happens to him and he's by himself and no one will be there to save him? So eventually, when I was 14 years old, I went to go and stay with my dad. And my dad, he was going through a lot too. And so, basically, to escape everything, I met Brian. I was 14 and he was 20 when we met. And we actually started dating. I was 15 and he was 21. So right there probably just speaks volumes.
Dun, dun, dun.
What I was doing was I was trying to escape bad situation after bad situation. And, it's, yeah, a lot of the details about what was happening will be in the book, and it is in the book. But I started spending a lot of time with Brian, and what I needed was somebody to be there for me. I needed someone to hear me, to understand that I existed. And, in the book, it talks a lot about how everything kind of leads, like, I can see now looking back how much I was oppressed, and how much I already didn't have a voice, and how much I already was just like, whatever I have to do to just keep the peace. I enjoy peace. I still just always want peace. Um, and so, at a young age, at 14, 15 years old, I needed to start finding ways to feed myself. And it's not that my dad couldn't afford food. It just seemed to be like a punishment that I had gone through my whole life. And then here's my dad like, oh, you left a soda can out. So, and it just weird things like that were happening. And so when Brian came along, he was like my instant best friend. We did everything together. We went everywhere together. He was the bad boy who did whatever he wanted, the leader of his pack. There were times that I'd be hanging out with all these 20, 21-year-old men, and I'm like the only girl. They would sneak me into bars. He would get drunk. There were times at 15 years old that I was getting pulled over, and I'm like, well, either this drunk guy goes and drives us home, or I drive us home. And they would just be like, carry on, because I didn't have a license. So there were a lot of times they just let me go, surprisingly. But I guess when your other option is this drunk man was about to drive us home, they're kind of like, well, what can we do? Be careful.
Yeah.
But that was also life in Chicago. I could dress a certain way and go buy cigarettes when I was 14. I could buy alcohol when I was 16. It just,
you're an Illinois girl then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny because if you know who Sam Beltrusis is, he actually grew up in Elsip, which is where my dad lived and where I grew up with my dad. So we were always like, we bond because we're both from Elsip.
Wow.
Nobody knows what the hell that is.
I do.
South side, right?
Right.
So I mean, I just started spending a lot of time with Brian, but it was pretty, again, looking back on it now, it's pretty obvious how controlling that he was, and how he would pressure me into things. And I want to say I think I was 15 years old, and he had a son with somebody else. And she was pretty vicious herself. And so she would always use her son against him, all the time. And eventually, she actually was a lawyer. So he eventually had to sign the rights. It was either sign your rights over to your son or go to jail. And he was devastated. And that's the first time that he tried to kill himself in front of me. And we were actually at my dad's in the basement, and my dad was like yelling at me to come take the trash out. And I'm, and I think I had to have been 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he was threatening to hang himself in the basement. And I'm like, well, I can't tell my dad, because if I tell my dad, he'd be like, let him. I mean, that's just how my dad was. He wants to do it. And I'm like, I can't do that. So I'm like, what do I do? Because he's screaming at me upstairs, take out the trash. And I'm downstairs like, what do I do? So basically, I was like, I ran as fast as I could upstairs, ran the trash out, grabbed a pair of scissors, got downstairs, jumped on the washer and cut him down, and then never said a word. We just sat there, and I was just like, and that was, I think, the very moment of my life where I was like, I can't ever walk away from him now, because what do I do? Everyone's just like, like, what do I do?
Right.
15 years old, that's a that is a tough thing to take on, but I did.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted that story to be heard, but I want to say this: there are a lot of nonprofit groups out there that are working with survivors of domestic dispute or domestic violence. Um, and with that, Ron and I are working with those groups. There's a lot of groups out there because there is a lot of men and women who are suffering with this situation. Either they're suffering with the PTSD of the situation, or they're suffering in that situation as we speak, or they take those symptoms into another relationship and they create that because maybe that's what they've gotten used to. They want that abuse because that's what they're used to having. So when they don't know how to have a decent relationship. With that, let me ask you this: do you feel that this is one of the main leaders into that situation? If you have get family members that abused you and you take that into that relationship, or is it also the fact, or could it be the fact, what you were looking for? Is that how a lot of these people, these men and women, are getting into these situations?
I think there's a lot of different reasons. And I do think for me personally, it was a matter of, just trying to have somebody, pay attention to me. And my mom will tell you, I was always the quiet kid. I was always the one who did well, but there was so much
Come
going on.
on.
Yeah, I know she's here. There was so much going on in her life, and there was so much going on with my dad that a lot of the times, having the younger sister who had diabetes and my oldest sister, there just aren't the words to describe her. I haven't talked to her in years and I'm so okay with it. I'm more than okay with it. Because she's a bully, and she was, and so my mom was always fighting her, and then she was fighting her ex-husband, and there was just constant chaos. And so some of us just regress into that, and we become the quiet ones, and we just self-soothe, and we do whatever we have to do to remove ourselves from those situations. And so because that's how I am, and not everybody's like that. I just think it depends on how a person's born, genetics. It's just me. And so I regressed all the time into this. And so I always felt unheard and unseen. And, there were a lot of times I felt unwanted, but the unwanted part came from my stepdad would always say to me, your dad loves your sister more. You see what he did for her, and he didn't do that for you. He doesn't want you there. He doesn't want to be around you. So that was told to me all these years. And like, it was depressing because I was just loved my dad so much. And to hear that I just wasn't loved as much. And my dad never said that. However, I grew up with that thought in my head my whole life. To this day,
The
sometimes I feel
manipulation.
that way.
It's
Yeah.
a
And
simple
so
manipulation tactic to control. Yeah.
yes. And so all those years of being told that, eventually you get to a point where you believe it. And then here's this person who literally can't, you know, be without you. And there he is. And he gives you everything. And he makes sure you're fed. And he drives you to school. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how old they are. That's when it just starts to, and you become addicted to the fact that at this point, this person really cares about you. So then when they're in trouble, when they're struggling, you want to do everything for them, and to the point where it doesn't matter what they do to you anymore. Now you're so engrossed in, I need to take care of this person because I know what it's like when he takes care of me. But eventually that person doesn't come back. Eventually they just take and take and take. And you're so stuck now, you're controlled, and there's just no, it's a very difficult situation to get out of. Very hard. So,
And I'm glad you brought that up because these are key points. The reason I brought it up because, again, Ron and I are working with the Boo Bitches on a special weekend, survivors of spousal abuse. And, people need to hear these stories and they need to see someone like you, someone who has been there and strong. And I want to agree with Keith. Keith says she is one of the strongest people I know. I'm so proud of her. And I want to say that when you find a person who's been through it, and someone who is going through it, this is a chance for you to find a way to be strong. Reach out to these people. How did they deal with it? How did they get through? How can you help them? Now, Christie's story is a little bit different. She had to take a hard way to get out of it. And Christie, what was it like being married into this situation? And then what was the conclusion? How did you get out?
So, I mean, it was 10 years of just absolute hell. I talk in the book a lot about the abuse, and I mean, he would kill my animals in front of me. He'd torture them in front of me, and then he'd be like, "I'll do this to your kids." He would say things like, and that's the thing. People talk about, why don't you just leave? Well, one, I have 4 kids, and two, anybody who took me in would have to deal with the repercussions of him. Because they don't just let you go. They never just let you go. And he controlled me with his life. If I had to count the amount of times I saved him from committing suicide, I couldn't even tell you. It was so many. It got to a point where it was almost a daily thing. I would go to work, I'd come home, I'd cut him down, I would, call whatever I had to do, and then I just go about my day like it never happened. I mean, this was consistent. So I knew that when I left, he was going to kill himself. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that, but it was mentally setting myself up. It took me 2 years to get it into my head that when I left, he was going to kill himself and it wasn't my fault. And it's so funny because when he did kill himself, everybody would be like, "It's not your fault," except his family. His family was like, "You did this." And I'm like, "Nah, sorry. It wasn't, there was never a moment in my head after it happened that I was the cause of this. What was in my head was I did everything I could and I deserved to have a life and my kids deserved to have a life. And if that was his choice, that was his choice." And so that's where kind of where I started with it. But it was difficult. And just in the fact and knowing that you've taken responsibility for so long, and you go back and forth. Like, is he trying to kill himself because he wants me to do something for him, and this is just his way of controlling? Does he really mean it? Sometimes I believed him, sometimes I didn't. It was just, and then people want to talk about, and this is the biggest thing, people always say, "Oh, you have to stop people from killing us. Like, it's your job." What people don't understand, the real victim of his suicide was me and my children.
Right.
We're the victims.
Exactly. Keith, that was Rhonda's pup. I just want to make sure because that comes in the background. I'm like, they're playing.
But, and that's, people always, they're like, "Oh, if you see, like, say something, blah, blah, blah," and I actually had someone make a documentary where I'm talking about it. And then it was all about how we need to cater to suicide. And then I'm like, and I sat there and and it's so harsh. And I understand that it's harsh, and I understand what people may think when I say this, but people will be like, "I'm so sorry your husband killed himself." And I'm like, I am not. I'm not. It ended my suffering, it ended my kid's suffering, and it ended his suffering. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not mad.
Right.
It sounds wrong, but I don't think it is wrong. So
Gotcha. Rhonda, I know there's some statements going out, and I saw that look on your face. You're like, "Hey, I need to check this out." Why don't you go back to Peggy and let's hear from the travelers out there.
You might not want to because the dogs are being crazy back here.
Oh, okay. All right.
My children are misbehaving.
Misbehaving. I don't know. Let me see if I can get here because I know there were some that I wanted to read, and I don't know how to slide this back. You guys, hold on. Oh, I know how. Let me.
They're being quiet now. I got you, Howie.
Oh,
He
okay.
said that you won't stop them. You may postpone it, but if they're determined. Let's see. And Penny said, your mom said, for women, it's a lot about a lack of a good role model of a father, how a woman should be treated. They don't know what a good relationship with a man looks like. And then Tim says she's strong and a survivor. Your daughter says you're a badass. She is.
She is.
my daughter's one now too. See,
Whoop whoop.
Badasses raising badasses.
That's right. You're breeding a badass.
Right.
Well, I had 4 of them, so they better do something great.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Nope.
I want to say hello to. We had a new traveler just pop in. I saw that, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. The one thing is I understand that statement. Sometimes the fathers could be the culprit instead of trying to get there, but it's not always the time. In sociology, we learned that a manipulator, that person who controls or has a control issue, will use that situation to break somebody down. They could be the best person on the planet, male or female, and they will use tactical maneuvers, mental tactical maneuvers to break a person down. They start out like y'all were saying. They start out nice. Oh, he is Prince Charming, and he's this, that, and the fifth, and he will continue. But what he's doing or she is doing is slowly breaking that wall down until you actually see who that person is. And by that time, it's too late. So it's not necessarily comes from the past. There are a lot of instances do, as we've heard tonight. However, especially if you get parent fighting against parent, you've got that going back and forth where you have one father saying one thing. That's a control thing. But a Jekyll and Hyde. Thank you, Lisa. Exactly. Jekyll and Hyde complex. And you see that a lot. That is the main focus of a manipulative person who needs control. But the ironic part is what he ended up doing. And like you said, he hurt his own family, but what he did, but he also hurt you and the girls because he had already manipulated, broke you down to a point. And what did he do after that? He said, I didn't have a fatherly role model growing up either, and it showed. But I now have a better understanding of things. Ew, you know what? Thank you, Keith, for saying that. It doesn't matter our age, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60. Some of us learn further down the road than others. And some could wake up, and if they're not doing shadow work or they're not accepting who they are, they're going to continue that. People still can change, but they have to want to do the change. It's no going to the change and sliding back. You need to practice this every day. So that's a valid point, and thank you for bringing that up, Keith. Hey, Rhonda, what did Allie say?
Allie said, my husband is so much like my mom with his attitude. Also, we call my mom dad because she raised us. I married a man with like my mom's attitude.
Hey, Christy brought that up in the first hour. So here we go.
She did.
I did. He's a great guy.
There it is. And I'm glad you brought some of that other questions up because as this particular series, and I think I know where we're going to go with this, Rhonda. I really think this is going to be something that's, Christy, if you don't mind, we want to have you on several times.
Oh, you can have me on whatever you want.
I think this could turn into a beautiful series, and that way people can follow your adventures in your career too. But I think I want to say this. You made some good points about questions about people who are an abuse. That's mentally, physically, spiritually, because it's all three. It's not just mental. It's not just physical. There's people who spiritually break you down too. I'm sorry, don't mean to do this, but let's look at some of the church members, shall we? Let's look at other situations with that. So we have to understand they can use spiritualism to break you down too. So you brought this up, and I had asked on my questions is people say, how do you survive? Okay, why did you stay there? How do you think it changed you? What advice do you have for others, and should they speak out now? So you answered some of that, but now let's get into the meat and gravy of it, and on your opinions and thoughts, and how can we help others?
So I will tell you that it's not, I mean, the first thing people have to understand is sometimes it's not that we don't want to leave, it's that we can't leave. And it takes people to help. When I left, I had to have an officer guarding my house because he was considered so dangerous. And I'm only lucky because my dad was a Chicago police officer for a minute there, and he knew the mayor. And, I mean, so there were some things that gave me a little bit of pull. And I don't know that without them, I would have had police guard at my house, and I think because I actually was really sick at the time as well. We very much suspect that part of my illness because they believe my mother-in-law was trying to poison me, and so
God.
yeah, I mean, my mother-in-law was worse than he was in a lot of aspects, and so I was so sick that I think it took my dad taking me to the emergency room at one point where the doctor literally looked at him and said, "If you don't help her, she's going to die." And so it finally clicked in my dad's head, like, I can't get out. I was very weak. I was very sick. I was very beat down and abused. And so my dad finally stepped up to the plate and basically had to take me by the hand and pull me out of the situation. If he hadn't have done that, I probably would have died. I honestly, I look back and I know there were several times where I should be dead. I don't necessarily know that he would have killed my children, but he sure threatened it and threatened it often. And what mother says, "That's fine, kill the kids, I'm out."
Right?
Mothers don't do that.
I mean, that's a sociopathic mentality.
When your children's lives are in danger, you will take every ounce of abuse, whatever you have to protect your children. That is what you do. That is what I did. And I took the steps I needed to take to get out and to get us out safe. And there's no guarantees. And honestly, I think I just got very lucky.
Yeah.
So lucky. You know what? And I'm glad I'm the one here to be with them and raise them and love them. And, I thank God every day for that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Wow. Let me read some of these real quick, and then we'll get back to it. Your mom says, what I meant was if a daughter has a bad role model in a father, they aren't as capable of finding a non-abusive man. I would agree. I would agree with that. Lisa says, amen to that, Chica. Missy Parker's with us. Hey, Missy, another traveler's dropped in. Also, Mama Penny says her stepdad was a huge manipulator.
Yeah.
So we did acknowledge that at the first hour, and it is true. We can see those signs when they put a parent against a parent to say, oh well, he said this because he didn't love you, blah blah blah. That's manipulation within itself. So, Penny, I will say much love to you as well, because we know you've been through some serious shit yourself. Lisa Campbell. I don't know why my chat feed is not working on the right, but I can see it here. Huh?
I just coughed.
Oh, sorry. I can't see what Lisa Campbell actually said. She said my abuser would, and that's all I got.
This threatened to go after my family members if I left.
That's a tactic. That's another manipulative tactic right there. And some of them actually do it. If they have the sociopathic tendencies, then, they're not just talking. They are mentally sick, and they will do it because it's a controlling your possession.
Yep. And they isolate you from your family,
Yes.
which is where I was. I was so alone for so long, just completely alone. And not only was I isolated from my own family, but his family treated me like trash, absolute trash. So, not fun. But here I am laughing about it.
Which is power.
Right.
Now, Christie, with someone who's going through that, or it just got away from it, let's put it that way, or if they're still going, what advice would you have for them? What do you, because your ending situation is not like everybody else's, so let's make that. So you had a terrifying end to a terrifying situation. but I'm sure you've encountered and helped enough people to be able to go, and the other question is, should they speak out about it? Do they need to speak out? I mean,
Everybody's different. For me, I feel like if I don't speak out, I'm doing a great injustice. And I look at it this way: we're all born with the brain that we have. Some of us have stronger minds than others by no fault of our own. I do believe that I was given a very strong mind, and so with that, I'm one who should be speaking out. There are other people who don't have that same strong mind, or they don't have the articulation, or whatever it is that I have to be able to put it out there. Not everybody has that, and that's okay. It doesn't it's not about, you know, it's about you at this point. Once you're away from it, it is about taking care of yourself. I hate when I hear people say, just get over it. It's been how many years? Haven't you moved on yet? It's been 20 years for me since he passed away, and I still have nightmares. I still have phobias. I still have certain issues that I work through every single day. And I can't imagine telling anybody ever, just move on with your life. You can't. It's a part of you now. It's not about getting over it or moving on. It's learning how to reinvent yourself and take everything you've been through. And so whatever it takes for people to, you know, I'm going to say get over it, but whatever it takes for you to heal from it, or for you to move on, or for you to function, or for you to find happiness and peace, that's what you need to do. When I get overwhelmed, I get in my car, and this is part of why I've become the para-gypsy, because I need to get out of society. I need to walk away from people. I need to go sit by a lake or a river or whatever I need, and just let my mind empty. That's just how I deal with it. But everybody's different. Whatever it takes for you to heal, take your time, do what you need to do. And it's nobody's business how they do it. If they are not supporting you and how you do it, you don't need them.
I think it's about support, isn't it? I mean, a lot of times we think about a like-minded people, but if somebody's not supporting you, either they don't believe you, they're believing the other person, or there's more to it. And that's the sad part. And I'm glad you said that, because the fact is, if you're not being supported by the right people, that means perhaps those right people don't have a place in your life, or they don't have the intent that they should. And it's actually much like a psychic vampire. They're feeding off your drama. You don't need.
No. And that's the thing, like for me for a long time, it's funny how people hear my life now and they're like, wow, that's really bad. Like, oh my gosh, you went through this really horrible stuff. And I'm like, I hear myself talking about it. I'm like, yeah, but it could have been worse. I'm so used to it's me, it's my life. I live through it. And so I'm just always kind of like, but is it that bad? I still always have this thing in the back of my head where maybe I'm just being dramatic. But that was ingrained in my head for years and years and years and years, that I would get angry because he beat me up. And the next morning it's like, stop living in the past. I'm like, but like, I still have the bruises. So there's no living in the past here. It's current.
And that's creating the PTSD factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, how many men and women are dealing with that?
Mm-hmm.
The physical and the mental abuse that lingers on. Once that relationship's over, that's still lingering. That's still tethering. That's still connected. And you're like, you still have to deal with their bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If
like, even though he's dead and my mother-in-law is dead, another thing that it's in the book, and if you want to talk about some later point in time, that's fine too. But I actually went into hiding for about 12 years. And I was kind of stuck until my mother-in-law finally passed away. And then we were able to start kind of moving on with our life, and it's my daughter, and getting on with, whatever. And, so that was a really hard thing to deal with too. But just it's funny because I get the phone calls and someone calls me and says, are you related to Sandra Williams? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, she died. And I'm like, yes. And the lady was just like, that's not what we expect to hear. And I said, you have no idea. Like, this is the biggest release of my life. And she was so cruel. This woman was so cruel to me and just like the devil herself. I swear she was. That one day I said, "What did I ever do to you?" And she's like, "Nothing. I just don't like you."
Wow.
That was her response. And I said to her, "One day you're going to die alone and nobody's going to care." She was actually dead in her apartment for 3 days before anyone even knew she was missing. And I was like, if that isn't karma, nothing else is. It's gory, but it's the truth. So.
It's true. Now, with you saying that, this is interesting because we can flip that. How many times have we heard this tale? Remember, sometimes we hear the little boy cry wolf. Okay. We have to take this into consideration. This is why, some people are like, oh, well, we're not going to help because some people have this thing about drama. They want to bring people in and create something that does not exist, or they're mirroring the other person and making everybody seem like that person is the big deal when it's the other person. So I can see how it can be hard at times, but it's got to be scary as hell, and it had to have been scary for you as you went through that because you have all that pain, all of that frightfulness every day going through you, and I'm sure it was a relief for you to hear that she had passed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it really was, and it's just, it's crazy because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." And I'm like, what did I lose? Like, it's so terrible, but I have no issue saying it because it's true. And it's because it's how I feel. And it's because, it's like being locked up in a cage where you're just getting beat on day in and day out by these two people. And it's just never ending and it's never stopping. And, then finally when, and the crazy, this is, I think the craziest part is even when they died, you know, it was still I'm still terrified. I still spent years being terrified. I still have the nightmares. I still have some of the phobias. I couldn't even, if I took a glass of water and I set it down and left the room, when I came back, I'd have to dump it. I couldn't drink it. I couldn't eat leftovers. Like, because I was always thinking, what's in there? Like, I would eat leftovers and then for days I'd be waiting to die. Like, that's literally where my brain was. And seeing psychiatrists, they would be like, okay, well, now you have to go eat in front of people. So I mean, I had like eating disorders and I had these crazy phobias. And one day I said, I'm tired of being scared, and I just started, you know going at, and I'm not saying they're totally gone. Sometimes they kind of resurface. But then I'm like, nope, we're not going there. I had PTSD, anxiety, and I was like, I don't want medicine. I don't want drugs because that's what caused all of this in the first place. And so I just decided to learn how to heal within and move forward.
Now, with that being said, we're going to slowly move away from that for you and for all of this. And let's look at another area now. We got about 15 minutes left in the show. How has that affected your relationships now with people in general, both friend and love relationships? Have you been able to unpackage, or does it still affect your relationships on a daily day basis?
I mean, it's always going to affect everything I do. There's no doubt about that. I will say that I think the biggest problem that I have is that I don't recognize abuse at all. And I believe it's because it was so bad, that as long as something isn't that bad, then it's just not that bad. Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I've come across, it's been a journey of finding really good people at this point. There are some people in my life that are like, hey, I'm just going to warn you, this person is doing this to you, and that's not good for you. A lot of people would see that as someone starting drama or something, but I don't, because I asked for it. I'm like, if you see someone doing something to me that they shouldn't be, please tell me, because I may hear what you say and I may continue what I'm doing, but, at least I know that I have this in the back of my head and it's easier for me to see the red flags. So there's some people that I just trust with every part of who I am. And so when they come and say to me, hey, listen, this person may not exactly be good for you. I hear them, just because I don't maybe be like, well, I'm never talking to that person again. It doesn't mean I don't hear you. And so it's always a process. It's always a learning process with
Now,
everything.
I'm. It's interesting now that I've heard that, because I want to ask this. Wouldn't you think someone who has been in a massive amount of a manipulative, controlling factor as such, they would be more tuned to recognizing the red flags? But here you are telling me no. So that's interesting. Is it that it was just pounded down not to see these signs, or
See, here's the weird thing is like I can see it for everybody else, but I can't see it for myself. Like
okay?
I can look at a friend going through the same thing that I am and be like, "Oh, that's red flag there and don't deal with that there." But if someone's doing it to me, and it's weird because I always say like I'll let people do whatever they want to me. However, if I see you treating somebody I care about like crap, we're done. You
Right.
know, my two rules: don't treat people like garbage and don't treat animals like garbage because we're done. Um, and so it's me always trying to be understanding because people go through a lot of stuff. And being a paranormal investigator, almost every event I do, I end up somewhere with one of the guests in tears, needing life advice and what do I do, and please help me. Almost every single event.
No, they're
And so
helping you, or they're looking for you to support.
mhm,
Okay. Okay. Well, and now, but see, you're giving the ability for people to empower themselves. That,
mhm,
I think that is one of the most powerful tools that we can have, is to help inspire and mentor and help help others. So you've been put in that position for a reason, I believe.
yeah. It's about understanding that this moment is very dark and hard and it's a struggle, but your next moment is going to be so much more beautiful because this one was so dark. And the further you go, the less the dark is and the brighter the light is. And it just gets better and better and better because on that journey of moving from the dark and seeing the light, you start to learn all the wonderful, amazing things about yourself. And you realize you no longer need the negative traits. You can let those go. It just takes some time.
Amen. Amen. Um, I think Rhonda and I would both agree with you on that one. Rhonda,
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
know,
100%.
I think once you allow yourself to be yourself, and that lets them dictate who you are, control what you do, control what you say, how you go about things. You take your power back, and then you're allowed to be something you've always meant to be.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, Um, I have a friend who he called, I think the word is kintsugi, and it's this old ancient, I think it's Chinese art where when something breaks and then you fix it with gold and it becomes more beautiful than it was before. And he said, "That's you to me." And I literally just cried. I was like, "That's the nicest thing anyone's
Wow,
ever."
that's an amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, one of the probably the sweetest thing anyone's ever said. And and I thought about that. And I'm like, I'm proud of that.
You
you
should
know.
be. Yeah,
So
you should be proud of that. I mean, for someone to actually say that, that is a huge thing to say to someone, and especially if it's with legitness and they're honest about it.
mhm.
They can give that to you because they're empowering you again, and,
mhm,
and not with an ego-fed intent. They truly want to see you rise and succeed. It's like, I use this in one of your terminologies, as I speak about you. It's definitely a phoenix syndrome. Watching you think you're in good spots, but those spots beat you down like meteors falling down on you. But you keep rising, and you
mhm,
keep rising. You can take the shit. You've been there, but don't forget. Sometimes the phoenix can go out if it's hit by a rainstorm, and that's what you were referring to. Not seeing the red flags,
yeah.
but you're still flying.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I just I just love people. I always say it this way. I hate society, but I love people. And I don't think people are the way they are because they're just that way. Everybody has a story and everybody has a fight and everybody has a reason. And I think we fail as a society in trying, we go ghost hunting. We're looking for spirits. But what are we doing about the ones that are still alive? What are we doing about our friends and our family? It is so important to me. And one of the main reasons why I'm on the road all the time is because it's so important to make the human connection. And you don't do that with a phone call. You
Right.
don't do that with a text message. You show up and you keep showing up and you show up as much as you possibly can. And every single time you show up, that person you're showing up for suddenly feels wanted, needed, loved, and they deserve it. They deserve to feel that way. And some of the harshest people I've known in my life have become some of the most wonderful people in my life, that I'll never let go. So,
It's isn't it interesting how sometimes those very people who you felt for whatever reason or another you might have had a beef with are actually the very ones that have got your back, and they've got either a hammer or a sword or a gun standing behind you, and you don't see them. You don't see them in the wood line, but they're there. And then when you need them at the most, there they are.
yeah. Yep. It's exactly how it works. So, it's like I said in the beginning of the show, my biggest problem is I miss everybody all the time. I need like 12 of me at least just to be with people because I enjoy being with people. People are just, they're incredible. Some of the things people do and say and the way their brains work. And I'm just like, wow, like I have this thing for artists too. Like I don't know, they blow me away. You ever find like a really good my friend Anthony, he's a storyboarder for major motion pictures, and we became friends because I just drew on his artwork all the time. He's incredible. He made my logo for me. So I just because we're friends. And he costs a lot of money. So I'm like, thanks, I'll take that. um, but yeah, he's a great guy. And that's what I love. People are just so unique and different, and I don't know.
I would agree. It's the experience that people bring to you of their own experience can cause good and can cause bad. It's
Mhm.
our choice. Our choice.
Yeah.
So we're there at the end of this episode. This episode of the Para-gypsy. Rhonda, do you have anything you want to follow up on or anything before we roll out tonight? And then you know,
Yeah, no, I really don't. I'm sorry, I'm not much of a co-host tonight. I don't have. You kind of have a list you're going by, and I don't have anything to add to it. So
You're just mad because I didn't recognize her. Let me tell you something about that, okay?
well, that would be because back in the day, Howie didn't put us on video. You just heard a voice.
Well, and I say this all the time. Like my mother's going to be like, "Did she really just say that?" But I seriously think there's something like wrong with my brain. Like, and I've looked it up. There's this disorder where you can't recognize people facially.
Yeah,
It makes
disassociation.
me having like face-to-face conversation, and then I still may not remember when I see you. But if you say, "Remember we talked about this," I know exactly who you are. I remember the whole conversation,
right.
word for word. But for some reason, I just have this disconnect. And so I always say, I'm like, one of these days, I'm afraid my mother's going to get off the plane. I'm not going to recognize her.
There's a medical term for that. No, I'm just
There actually is. And I really think, because I've been saying too, like, because my dad's dyslexic. And so sometimes I think that I have a bit of that too. And I think it kind of all relates. There's times when people are like, why'd you spell it that way? And I'm like, and they literally have to point it out for me to see it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So
Howie knees. Howie knees. I get it. So let's do this. I want to thank you first for taking the time to be on here, spending the amount of time you have with us as we progress your future and allow the travelers and those alike to be able to see your progress from here on out. We'd love to have you back. and do a series with you and keep people involved
Absolutely. I'd love to.
and be able to ask you general questions. There could be a night that we just have a playtime and we just get silly stupid. No alcohol. That's the key.
Why?
The sober oracle sounds real fun, let me tell you. I might still be a pervert.
We got the button. Ding.
That's what she said.
Oh! So, Christy, let's get that opportunity and let's get some shameless plugs out there. What you got going on? Where people can see you? Where they're gonna find you?
So I'm super excited because this weekend, actually, I will be speaking for the first time at the West Tex Paracon in Texas, the Old Park Hotel. I love that place. I love the people who own it. It's a great place. Johnny Zaffis will be there if you want to come on out. It's going to be super amazing. I signed up to speak at Paragraphs coming up in, I think, September. That's in Racine, Wisconsin. And all that money. Oh my gosh, this guy, Tim, he raises so much money for animals. Super great guy. Love doing his events. I'm speaking June 10th at the Harriman Hospital. It's a Para-Unity event down there. So that should be really fun too. I'm hoping to keep getting more. I just keep hope. What I really hope is that what I'm saying is worth it to the people sitting in the audience. That's what counts. I have so many events coming up. The Washoe Club, I'm doing an event at. I'm doing an event Squirrel Cage Jail. We've got the Rails West Museum. There's just keep an eye on my page. There's so much. Drunken Oracle is always a thing. I know the Wraith Chasers actually asked me to do events with them, so we'll see if that happens. Daryl Marson did the same thing, so we'll see.
That'll bring you to Virginia, won't it?
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to get out there because I have a couple of friends out there who I absolutely love and adore. Chris Sanders and his girlfriend Christina. Christina went through a hard time, and I just reached out to her, and she was kind of sort of bedridden for a minute there. She's still healing, and now I just want to go hang out with her because she's super cool. So I'm trying to get out there because I would love to do an event and just hang out with people I like.
We got plenty of them.
Yeah, and Sam is over there. Monique Too Soon is over there. Flameri Productions, Ray Savino, he's over there. So I mean, I have a ton of friends over there. It's just getting locations to respond.
Did y'all hear? She didn't even mention us. Did you hear that, Rhonda? She didn't
when
say,
you're on the show.
Well, she did say when she was out here she wants to go to the cabin. So
yeah, I do want to do that. I was challenged to do overnight by myself with Cabin 360. So I got to figure that one out, but that will happen. I'm not really scared. So
don't stay in the rancher. Stay in the cabin.
Is the rancher the scary one? Because that's where I'll stay.
The rancher is where the bad stuff has taken place.
That is where I'll stay. Yeah, everyone's like, "Why aren't you afraid?" I'm like, "Haven't we just been talking about my life?"
Touche. However, I can't argue with that one. You got me on that
one. Nobody can. That's the best part about it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, travelers and those alike, thank you for spending your evening with us. Christie Ayers, thank you for spending your time.
Thank you, guys.
Rhonda, thank you for being here. This was one magnificent show, as I promised, and this is going to continue. There is a lot going on here, at least in the state of Virginia, as we talked about, and all over. Catch you a paranormal event. Get outside. Get out of your home. Get involved. Get back with your friends. Let's continue. Let's create that fellowship. Get back to your fellowship. That's your pride. That's your circle. That's your life circle. So I will make an announcement right now, and Rhonda will probably go, look, we get a day off. We will not be having a show next Sunday night. Then in an adverse of Mother's Day. But we will be returning the following Sunday with the amazing Daniel Benoit of ECBRO, Bigfoot Association, East Coast Bigfoot Association. We'll be talking about the 2023 Virginia Bigfoot Paracon taking place on June 17th. So don't miss that. So travelers and those alike, thank you. Make sure to help make sure to help another. Make sure to be there for all those travelers and those alike. If they get to a point where they feel stuck, if they've fallen off their surfboard, put your hand out, get them back on their surfboard, get them on your surfboard, but don't let them lay left behind. And until next time, travelers, may virtue be yours.
Be good humans, everyone.
Good night, peeps.